Hi friends, welcome to Civil Architecture Tutorials. Today the subject is logistic planning. Logistic planning comes in the construction planning and it is an important part of construction planning. To begin with the logistic planning, we have to define it first. So to define the logistic planning, it is like this. It is the detailed site organization and implementation of execution or operation of activities in a given site. So if there is no logistic planning, there will be a lot of wastage happen to the contractor or the person who is doing or the project manager who is conducting that site. For example, if it is not organized, then people may go here and there to stock things according to their wish, and in order to get things at a particular time when the construction activity is going on, it will be very difficult because the things are not organized there. For example, the cement store, the steel yard, if all these things are not particularly or organized or precisely organized in a site, then it will affect the overall time and cost of the construction. So in order to avoid that, in order to avoid unnecessary wastage for the contractor and also to the builder, we need to put a logistic plan before. Actually, during tender itself, in the mobilization clause, it will be always stated that you need to prepare a logistic plan along with the master plan that is going to be submitted. So if you look at the master plan, you can always see a logistic plan of how to put things or activities at defined areas in a plan, so that all the activities can be combined and can go together, and there will be minimum wastage of time and cost and labor. So in order to do that, it's a must that we need to go for a logistic plan. So as I have defined the logistic plan, there are around 18 points to remember while we are doing the logistic planning. The first one is the material entry gate. As we know, if the project is big or small, always there will be some kind of entry gate and exit gate in all the projects, because without that entry point, the security person or the store manager cannot ascertain how many goods are coming to site per day. He had to record it in a store book, so that how many vehicles reach there with sands, aggregate or anything in a per day. So that need to be noted. So in order to point out that, we need to have an entry pass and exit pass. To provide that, there should be control in the entry of vehicles into the site. So there should be a material entry gate. That is the first area of allocation that we need to put in a logistic plan. Second is the pathway or the route by which the vehicle had to move once it got entry into the site. So if it is a small project, then it's okay, no issue, because there will be always a defined area which will be the least displacement for a vehicle to go from the entry point to the project site. It should not be zigzag, because it will be unnecessary base. The vehicle have to move a lot and the fuel will be lost. It's a loss for the fuel, and also the time will be lost, and it will be disturbance for the other activities too. So the path should be defined in such a way that it will not interfere with the other activities, and minimal path should be taken. So that planning should be there. Actually, it comes in suppose the site is for 30 acres or 100 acres. In such a case, this path planning, the road planning, is very important, because if it is not prior planned, the lorry will go in its own way, and it will be like a national waste of fuel and time. So this path planning is very important in the logistic planning. That should be shown in the plan as well as in the site. It should be built accordingly. So this is the second point. And the third point is regarding the offices. Offices means there will be client office. Client office is a necessity, because when the client comes, he need to have a lot of meetings with the subcontractors and the laborers, maybe with his project managers, and also there will be offices separately for the subcontractors too. So subcontractors means which includes MEP contractors, plumbing, electrical contractors, all this is. So we should give separate offices for the main contractor, the client, separate offices in the site. That's the third point. And then the fourth point is the batching plan location. The batching plan location means where we are making the cement for the main project. So normally small projects, we don't have to use the batching plant, because we are depending upon the RMC, ready mix concrete. But if it is a very big project, we need to go for the batching plant unit also. So the location of that particular batching plant should be allocated in the logistic plan, and it should be implemented at that particular location only, because it should be very near to the road, so that the cement which comes to the batching plant and the aggregate which comes to the batching plant, the vehicles should have minimum access. Minimum access means minimum distant access to this batching plant. It should not go into other areas. It should not disturb the other activities there. So there should be a direct access to the road. It should be very near to the road. That's better too. So if there is a batching plant, then there should be water tank facility there, so that batching plant needs water, and cement also should be there. Whenever the need arises, the cement should be there in the stock. So the material storage for the cement should be there, and water tank should be there, and also the batching plant will run in electricity. If there is a electricity problem in the site, the batching plant work will also get affected. So for that, we need to provide a standby generator there. There's a diesel generator, DG set should be there, which should be nearby. So the batching plant consists of the cement storage area, the aggregate storage area, the water tank, the batching plant itself, and also a standby generator area nearby, and it should be very near to the road. So that is the fourth point. And the fifth point is that, as we know, in a big or a small project, lot of materials are coming to the site, like steel, sand, aggregate. So all this, or brick, all this needs to be tested, whether the sample that is provided by the supplier is correct, or is it compatible with the material that the supplier is providing us. That should be checked regularly or occasionally by the project manager. So that for that, we need to provide a testing lab at site itself. Normally big projects are having their own labs in the site, but small projects, they used to test it in maybe outside private labs. Anyway, for a bigger project, we need to have a testing lab to test all these things, so which will be almost nearer to this material storage areas. Okay, so that is the fifth point. Then the steel yard. Then, as we know, whether it is a small project or a big project, we need to provide steel yards, because anyway all the projects will have RCC construction, so which need the steel work to be done by skilled workers. So there will be piece rate workers for this thing, piece rate contractors also. So we need to provide the steel yard area for these people to do their activities, making the steel, bending and fixing and placing, all these things we need to provide area. So that is called steel yard, and steel yard area should be allocated in the logistic plan. And steel yards can be maybe more than one. If it is a very big project, maybe 2 or 3 steel yards can be there, but which should be nearer to the main project area, so that the crane can access this steel to the main project area. So that is the sixth point. Then likewise, the steel yard, we know to make the RCC happen, we need to first do the shuttering work first. The shuttering work we need to do before the reinforcement work, we know that. So for that, to start the shuttering things, we need to provide a small area for that also. So shuttering yard also is a necessity in a project site, which will be allocated in the logistic plan. So that is the 7th point. And the 8th point is, like I said, the DG, the diesel generator, should be provided in a batching plant. And even if there is no batching plant also, we need to have a standby diesel generator at site, because we don't know when the current will go. So it should not affect the activities at site, because if the current goes, if the activities get affected, then it will be a huge loss to the contractor. So in order to avoid that, there should be a standby or a running generator, and also the diesel storage area. So this should be allocated in the logistic plan. So that is the 8th point. Then, as we know, usually in small projects, when maybe the RMC vehicle comes, or the steel vehicle comes to the site, we will have to know the weight of the steel apart from the weight of the vehicle. So this they do from outside and comes to the site for small projects. But if it is a big project, we should have a Weighbridge, because per day there may be lot of vehicles coming into the site. So, and it is not practicable enough for all the vehicles to check in a private or in another outside Weighbridge and come to the site. So it's always good to provide a Weighbridge in our site itself, so that we can test the actual quantity or actual weight of steel or RMC or whatever it comes. we can get know from our own facility. So providing a Weighbridge is necessity in the logistic plan if it is a big project. So that is the ninth point. Then if pre-engineering structure are sometimes in some projects, if it's a big project, and if it's maybe, for example, it's a factory project, so there will be a lot of mild steel structures would be there in that particular structure. So for that fabrication, a lot of fabrication activities will be there. So for that we need to provide a fabrication yard or fabrication space for that particular fabrication yard. For such MS work or for particular work, we need to provide in the area. So this is the 10 point. Then, as we know, sometimes the big projects or small projects, whatever it is, happen in a very remote area and where the workers are coming there to stay. So they will stay overnight and they will do the work. So we should provide temporary hutment or temporary labor accommodation for these workers to stay there, so that they cannot go out, they will not go outside and come back. It will take a lot of time, and maybe in some areas there will not be any provision for that too. So it's a necessity for the contractor or the client to provide such hutments for the workers to stay there at site. So this should be also included in the this logistic plan. That is the 11th point. Then regarding the safety park area means where the area where a knowledgeable person who has some knowledge in the safety, or the safety officer of that project, who knows about safety things, what all things we need to do to get the safety for so and so things. Means if you are going for a height with a rope, what all safety things that you need to take care of before going in the rope, especially for painting, for example. Or if you are providing a scaffolding, what all safety features you need to put into it before putting the scaffolding. All these things the safety officer need to educate the workers or the subcontractors sometimes. So for that he needs some space for that. So safety meeting area or safety, that is called safety park, where he can say everything to the workers, that area should be provided. That is mandatory too. And along with that, as you know, the labor commissioner department stating that if the project is having more than 500 laborers in it, then it is mandatory to provide a emergency meeting point, where if some emergency happens in the site, all the workers can accommodate or come together. So that emergency meeting point is also an area we have to provide in the logistic plan according to the labor commissioner department. So emergency meeting point should be shown in the logistic plan. That is the 12th point. Then comes the FTC or fixed tower crane. And as we know, there are two types of cranes available. The one is small, which is mobile crane, and second is fixed tower crane. So usually big projects are making use of this thing, especially the multi-story buildings. When we go to Dubai or big cities in India itself, you can see when the construction activities are going on, there will be a very big crane which comes from inside the building, and the arm length will be around it, so that in that radius it can take all the materials available and it can take it into the building. So that is for the purpose we need to provide maybe more than one fixed tower cranes, depends upon the size of the project. So usually the fixed tower cranes they used to provide in a plant phase, that is they used to provide it in the lift well. Maybe there are more than one or two lift wells in a big project. So depending upon the location and the radius of the tower, maybe around 15 meters in the reach it has to be provided. So within that reach, within that radius of that arm of that fixed tower crane, we should stack things. That is, the material store should come, then the shuttering unit yard should come, the steel yard should come. So all these things should come within that tower crane radius. That should be noted while you are planning for the logistics plan for this FTC or fixed tower crane. Okay, so that is the 13th point. And 14th point is, like I said before, we need to provide separate offices for MEP engineers or MEP contractors like plumbing, electrical, separate. If it's a very big project, then we cannot accommodate all these people in a contractor's office. So there will be separate office for the subcontractors. It depends upon the size of the project. So that is the 14th point. Then Along with this thing, as number of people increases in our projects, even if there are less number of people also, it is a mandatory to provide separate toilets for male and female. So that is mandatory, and it is because engineers can use and laborers can also use. So it's a mandatory. It is a necessity also to provide, and it's necessary to show it in the logistic plan too, where you are providing the toilets for male and female. So that is the 15th point. Then along with the toilet, you should provide a canteen also if it is a very big project. Then if it is in a remote area, it is again mandatory to provide a canteen or a refreshment center for all these workers. So you should show the area allocation for canteen in the logistic plan. Then the 17th one is one of the important point in logistic plan. If the building that we are showing here is going for a green building, so we need to get some green points for this building. So in order to get the points, one of the mandatory thing is that during excavation you have to preserve the topsoil, which is fertile soil. Usually the topsoil is considered to be fertile soil. So if the topsoil, maybe in some area, maybe the fertile soil will be up to a certain length, maybe more depth, up to more depth it is fertile soil. So you need to stack all this fertile soil in a particular area, and it should not go wasted. We should not use it for construction activities. So you should preserve it, and you have to use it for some other activities like gardening or etc. So for that you will get some green building points, which will be good for the budgeting of this building, and it will have some privileges also for getting the building number 2. So this also should be taken care of. That is, the excavated soil stacking should be done, or otherwise, because the people from Griha or Terry, the officials from this organization will come and check whether you have stacked this fertile soil or not. So this will all add to the green building points. So this is the 17th point. And the 18th point and final point is that, as you know, as you go up, maybe from G+1 to 2, 3, 4, G+3, 4, 5, you need to provide a material hoist lift, which is always we are using for even for small projects also, because this will take the materials, even the people also, to the top floors, and this is very near to the building. It should be near to the building, otherwise it cannot hoist. So material hoist lift is mandatory. It is a necessity also for the work to conduct in a main project. So these are the 18 points, and now we can have a look into the logistic plan for as an example. Okay, this is the main building. Just suppose this is the main building, and you can see 3 columns here. These are lift wells, and if you provide lift here, I mean the fixed tower crane FTC 1, 2, 3. This is the radius of that tower. So in this radius comes, this is material storage unit, and steel yard also here. There is a shuttering yard here. So the materials, all the materials that we need to for the project to happen should be in the arm length of the FTC. Okay, and the FTC planning also should be done. It is not mandatory that you have to provide FTC in all the lift wells, but the lift well which is very nearer to the material yard, we can provide that. So that is here, and you can see the main entry. This is the boundary wall. The main entry is here. This is the main entry, and this is the main contractor's office. Okay, and these are other contractor's office. This is the client office, and this is the toilet. This is the pantry. This is the emergency assembly point, like I defined before, and above it, it is the safety office or the toolbox meeting office, and this is the canteen. This is the material storage. This is the Weighbridge. This is also, there is entry from here too. Here is also the small entry. So as the vehicle entry here, it can weigh at this Weighbridge and then go to this material store. Okay, and this is the steel yard. Steel yard also here. There are 2 steel yards here, and it should be in the reach of the crane. That is a necessity. And this is the batching plant. As you can, I already said that there should be a water tank near to it, and the cement store also is there. And this is the DC yard. So to entry into the batching yard, there is a small entry here too. So this is, I think by this you got a rough idea of what is called the logistic plan. And With this, I am ending this video. Hope you understand this video. I will come with another video with another subject. Till then, goodbye. Please subscribe, share and like my channel. Thank you very much.